Hi, this is Tim Donner with Liberty Nation TV, joined by Scott Cosenza, who's written a piece on the Trump travel ban being mostly reversed by the Supreme Court, Scott, but not completely, right?
Well, for the time being, that's right, Tim. The Supreme Court said that, and I'm going to quote from their ruling. It's not an opinion per se; it's an order. And what had happened was there were two different challenges to the travel ban in separate circuit courts. The Fourth Circuit and the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals both had separate bans. And they sort of enacted an injunction, if you will, against the enforcement of those bans. The Trump administration appealed those orders to the Supreme Court and also asked that it rule on the ban itself. So there's sort of two issues at play. One, the temporary stoppage of the law going into effect, and then later on the actual constitutionality of the law itself. What the Supreme Court said this week was, for most people, we're going to go ahead and let the ban be in force. And then we're going to rule on the totality of it in the fall during our regular session. And what they said was, in practical terms, the measure may not be enforced against foreign nationals who have a credible claim of a bona fide relationship with a person or entity in the United States. Now, the next question, of course, becomes, what exactly does that mean? Who satisfies that requirement? And in fact, Justice Thomas wrote in criticism of this part of the order, saying, it's an untenable solution. So we'll see. But right now, if you're in Yemen and your brother-in-law, parks cars at the airport, you're in good shape. You can come on over, I guess, or at least not subject to the ban. But if you're just a stranger in a strange land, then you're out of luck, I think, at least until perhaps October.
Well, now, is this ruling by the Supreme Court a repudiation, a scolding, in fact, of the lower court injunctions that were issued against the travel ban?
I don't think I'd go that far to call it a scolding. No, I don't think so. And in fact, the fact that they left part of it in place shows that I think that would not be an appropriate way to characterize the opinion.
Now, the other thing is that this travel ban is for 90 days, and the court won't take up the fullness of this executive order until October. By then, it will be a moot point, will it not?
Yeah, that's a very sort of tricky situation legally, Tim, as to how that all works out. The Supreme Court did address that. They didn't address it in terms of ruling on that matter. They said, we understand that this is a tricky issue, and we're going to let the parties address it in briefings, and then we're going to discuss it once we get to the October term. So they've punted on that question. It is an important question, and I don't know how they'll come down on it. We'll have to see. But given that the issue is so contentious, given the depth and breadth of the lower court's treatment of it, I expect that they will try to find a way to rule on the merits. Typically, courts try, if they can avoid it, to not rule on the merits, right? Why bother getting into a sticky wicket if we can just say, well, it's, the timing is off or something like that. But given the stakes and the rulings, I think that we'll probably see a ruling on the merits and not the typical court practice of trying to avoid a ruling on the merits, if possible, given mootness considerations.
Okay, thank you, Scott. And you can see more of Scott's work. He's our Liberty Nation legal correspondent. You see more of his work on libertynation.com. For libertynation.com, I'm Tim Donner, and this is LNTV.